Hey Rangers fans, welcome to another edition of Bleeding Blue Shirts. John Giannone, Steve Valiquette. Kind of a good time to take the temperature of the Rangers now that they're headed out to the West Coast for a 4-game road trip. Kind of an uneven week, Steve, right? When you consider the Islanders game at the Garden last week and Rangers give up 3 in the third. Then they go to Detroit, they score 6 in the third and get 8. Next game, they play in Nashville, manage only 1. Then they come home on Sunday night and they beat the Arizona Coyotes 4-1. Put it all in a blender and tell us what we come up with. Glass half empty or full there, Steve?
Look, I think it's one of those things where you have to remind yourself that it's a week-to-week season. And I remember this as a player. You could be on the highest high one week and be on the lowest low the next. It's a week-to-week calendar. And in this past week, at one point during the week, the narrative around the team was the Rangers can't score at even strength. And then you go 0 for 5 on the power play in Nashville, and the Rangers can't score on the power play. You have to keep everything even, and it's very difficult because everybody wants to build towards a playoff season that's still 50 games away. And you can't do that. You've got to just relax, and you've got to understand that at the end of the week, you scored 16 goals. 12 of them were at even strength. 4 were on the power play. A big power play goal in the Arizona game on Sunday. And I feel like everything's right in the world after that week. After at times it was uneasy. I felt like going into the Arizona game on Sunday that we were right back to Dallas 2 weeks ago where it was must win. And I'm sure the players, fans, you have people around the team talking to you all the time, whether it's family, and it sometimes can be a distraction, but I think the players managed it well. They were able to get through a very uneasy first period against Arizona and then find a way.
All right, so let's talk about some of the changes that Gerard Gallant made during the week, and we'll probably continue to see them when the Rangers head to the West Coast. And that is, first, Chris Kreider got demoted, 4th line in a game, 3rd line for an entire game, then back up to the top line where it seemed like he got the message. There's been Jimmy Vesey on the right side of that line. Second line has seen a couple of different right wings, which means that the line of Lafreniere, Chytil, and Kakko is back together. Let's start there. What have you seen from them? Does it sort of resemble what we saw in the playoffs last year?
Yeah, enough. They haven't really hit their stride offensively yet as far as getting the big chances. But I think it's really important to understand that they're not on the ice hurting you. And when I look at scoring chances, I like to try and identify who the primary offender is, if it's a chance against, and who the primary contributors are when you're getting a scoring chance for. But at the end of the day, they haven't been on for any really big chances against. So you can imagine that Gerard Gallant is very confident putting them over the boards to play not just a role so that the top 2 lines can come out and create offense. They're still able to have zone time, puck possession, and then I think that most cases they've been able to say they can win the shift. But I think up and down, John, being able to have those guys together, it really gives you a longer lineup with more depth, and it looks a little bit more like a playoff 1-2-3, 1-2-3, and of course the 4th line being able to chip in helps as well, and Carpenter gets his first goal against Arizona. I like the lineup better like this. I'm happy with how the season has gone as far as what I value most, which is creating offense and suppressing shots against. Where they are is in a good spot right now. I'm very happy with what I've seen so far.
And Jimmy Vesey came to camp on a professional tryout. Now he's sort of on an unofficial tryout to stay on the first line. What is it that he does that you think can make him at least a viable first line candidate?
I think that he has to continue to understand that his role on that line is to be first. And to be first, I think you have to have that mindset before the game begins where you know that when you're in the defensive zone, if you're on the right side of your check, your first 3 steps out of the zone as the play moves up ice are so important. You can't stand there, sit there, be stationary and see the play develop, because when your teammates and 2 fast teammates in Kreider and Zibanejad choose to get the puck in deep, you've got to be moving out of your zone so you can build momentum through the neutral zone, so you can be first on the forecheck. We haven't seen a lot of forecheck offense out of the team yet this year, and that needs to be something because you and I know how important that is in the playoffs. We saw 3 rounds of playoffs last year where the team that gets in first gets the puck. they are able to establish their game plan just a little bit easier in the offensive zone. He's key there. He's been good at it. I still think he has another step to take, and he can be even more dominant and help the line.
All right, so now the Rangers head to the West Coast 4 games before Thanksgiving. You've always placed an importance on where you stand at Thanksgiving because about 75% of the teams that are in the playoffs on Thanksgiving end up in the playoffs at the end of the year. So let's look at this 4-game road trip that begins Thursday in Seattle against a surprising Kraken team. Then it goes to 2 struggling teams, San Jose and Anaheim, and then it finishes with some powerful LA Kings team. Take Seattle first. What have they done to get points in 6 of their last 7?
So their offense has really taken off, John. They're the best, ranked number 1 off the rush. So they're the best team off the rush this year. Look, that's news to me. I haven't been watching a lot of Seattle hockey. I'm not staying up watching the West Coast games every night. But when you are able to get a brief look at them, I was working on them this morning for an hour, and I'm surprised. They're fast out of their zone. They're very good in transition. They're a hard team to play off the rush. They're defending better. They're without Philip Grubauer, but their goaltending is seemingly holding the fort. Martin Jones is off to a really good start. It's a good team. They're going to be tough. It's not the Seattle team that we saw last year. I think Los Angeles, they play a different game. It's a heavier defensive game. It's going to be a harder game for the Rangers to get inside. I expect the Rangers to be able to handle San Jose and Anaheim. But at the same time, if you're talking about Thanksgiving and how important it is to go into Thanksgiving with 25 points in the standings, I think that's the number the Rangers need. I think you got to take 6 out of a possible 8 points on the West Coast trip. What I really liked about the Arizona game, though, John, we talk about this a lot, the Rangers only had 10 low-danger shots in the game. They were not warming up the goaltender. It was a harder night. They had 9 high-danger chances. The one thing that I really believe in is you need to have 7 or more high danger and 12 or fewer low danger. It's the best combination. And you know what it reminds me of, John? And Igor talked about it in his post game after the Arizona game, which was, I have to find a rhythm with my season. I have to be able to understand that not every night I'm going to get a lot of shots and get into the rhythm of the game. He had 17 shots in the first period against Arizona. That helped him get into that game. It's not the case every night with this Ranger team. And it really reminded me of my childhood. In 1993, I was an impressionable kid watching the Leafs play, and they had a series against the St. Louis Blues, and it was Curtis Joseph and net. And John, he was unbelievable in this series. The Leafs threw everything at him, but every night he was having 45, 48 shots, and he was the story of the series. You fast forward through his career, and he was dominant in Edmonton when he faced a lot of action, but really struggled in Detroit when he was brought there in 2002 to deliver a cup. And I always wonder about that yin and yang between, do you want your goalie to be the story every night? And does he have to receive a lot of shots to do so? Or can he just be a rock and play under every game condition? Because when we talk about the Rangers and how their season progresses towards playoffs and playoff hockey, they have to win in different ways. Well, the goaltender has to win in different ways too, and sometimes there's a learning process, and I think Igor's really starting to figure this out for this season. He's identified it.
Yeah, it makes for an intriguing 4-game road trip. Steve and I will be in the studio to cover it all. Stay up late with us. Sam Rosen and Joe Micheletti will be on the West Coast to call all the games. We will see you then, and then we'll see you again next time right here on Bleeding Blue Shirts. Thanks, Stevie.